I'm Mike.
And I'm Adam.
And this is Stuff and Waffle. Two friends talking about stuff, and often as not, waffling with frequent reference to Bond cars.
Right, here we are for the first episode of Stuff and Waffle in 2022. And
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everyone. And got a bit of a treat for the first episode of the year. We've got a guest. You've heard him referred to many times and his cars. We'd like to welcome Rob.
Hello. It's not often I get referred to as a treat, but I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't knock it.
No.
I'm going to actually accept a compliment from him. That doesn't happen often. It's normally abuse.
Yeah. No, this is true. Mind you, you got a compliment the other day because you helped me resurrect the car that died on my driveway.
Oh, yeah. You didn't get any compliments off me for that because it was a stupid reason it wouldn't start.
Yeah. But in my defence, like I said, the fuel light was not on.
And you didn't park it there, so...
I didn't know. Actually, I did not park it there. I was not the last person to use that vehicle.
No, you managed to dodge that bit of abuse.
Yeah, I'd forgot I wasn't the last person, so that was a saving grace that we found that out.
All right, someone else put their foot right in that one.
Yeah, so that's all right. But yeah, it's good, and it did fail on brakes, like I said it would on the MOT. But other than that, it's fine.
Yeah, you thought it would.
Yeah. Oh, and the bulb that you spotted on the way down there.
Well, there you go. I can be observant.
Yeah, but that's fine. I told him there were bulbs in the boot, so
happy days.
Yeah, he's all good.
Very, very French.
Yeah, I won't get charged for the bulb. I'll just get charged for the labour of inputting it in.
Well, that could be hours.
Oh yeah. Oh dear. Yes. So what we're going to do then is much similar to previous guests. Is we'll probably just kick off proceedings with car history.
Oh gosh.
I observed this the other day when all three of us were talking. I said that your cars have actually been. You've always seemed to try to get the best car you can for your money. Excluding your first car. I'm not counting that one.
Well, nobody has a decent first car,
agree with that.
Well,
I tend to buy whichever car is presented to me for not a lot of money.
Well, that's true, but you've always done reasonably well out of it.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's never I've ever gone hunting for the best example.
No, I suppose not. Mind you, right, I'll tell you what then. Start off, we've already said that it's a bit of a shitbox. What was the first one?
It was a fantastic, and everyone loves these, a Mark V Escort.
Oh, God.
Oh, beautiful choice.
1.4 CVH, still with a carburettor in 1991.
Oh, my word.
Had been badly resprayed. I had no idea how it was still functioning, but as a first car, I knew nothing about cars at the time, and I thought, it looks a little bit like an Escort Cosy. Job done for me as a rally fan.
If you really squint.
I mean, fortunately, you didn't adorn it with a shit spoiler. So
I did not. I did put 17-inch alloy wheels on it, though.
Oh, you did, didn't you?
I did. That's
the
only reason it went round corners, I think.
That was it. There wasn't. Hang on. There was an incident where it didn't go round the corner, wasn't there?
Oh, there was. That was involving an icy evening, and I was driving along down some Devon back roads, perfectly fine. All the roads were perfectly clear until I came around one corner where a farmer had left a whole load of mud on the road, and it had all frozen. So I just hit that, and then nope, the steering does not do anything anymore. Nope, the brakes don't do anything. None of these controls are responding to anything I do. I'm just like, look, that hedge is getting a bit close, isn't it? Because I bounced off of it. And then bounced off back down the road.
It's fine.
Yeah. It was not making very nice sounds, and anything above 50 miles an hour, the wheel would shake out of your hand because.
Oh, bit bent.
Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't bent. It was just the aforementioned alloy wheel had collected quite a collection of mud out of that hedge.
Okay.
That's not bad, is it? Really?
I pulled over and I called the RAC to come out and check it over because I'm a good 15 miles from home. I don't really want to drive it back if it's going to fall apart. So I wanted them to give it a once over. And while I was doing that, I was picking the mud out of the wheel. So the chap drove it just to see how it felt. And he goes, "Oh, seems all right now. It's just the alignment is very much off."
That's all right.
Understandably.
Yeah, it's had a bit of a knock, but that's all right.
Yeah, that was the end of it though, because it
I was going to say, did that kill it?
it was the day before its MOT, and that's not what killed it.
Ah,
It went in
rust.
for its MOT, and they said, "Yeah, your steering's out because the tie rod's bent, predictably, and it needs 700 quid's worth of welding on a car
Oh,
that's not worth anywhere near 700 quid."
that was that then.
Yeah, that was the end of that.
Oh dear.
Well, I'm glad to see you started with a Ford Escort because so did I.
Yeah.
Although mine was a Mark IV, not a Mark V.
What engine was yours?
Mine was a 1.4 CVH as
mine-
well.
Wonderful. The only good thing about the CVH and the Mark V was it had an automatic choke.
Yeah, no, mine was still the pulley out lever thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. When I got it, it didn't work, and I pulled it out and then realised it's just been put together wrong. So I think I was like, "Oh, it's starting properly now. That's impressive."
Rebuilt it.
Yeah, I undid 2 screws and went, "That ain't right."
Very good.
That really shows progress there. 2 marks apart, and still the same bloody engine.
Oh yeah, and still all the same issues that CVH has always had as well.
Yeah, they don't get a glowing review, do they?
No, and it was getting pretty tired by the time they did the Mark V, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
It was. I do remember your one. It was white, wasn't it? It wasn't particularly.
Not the original white. The filler cap, as all of them did, rusted out, and I managed to use a whole lot of filler to recreate that, and sat in the garage and made it look somewhat professional, to the point where someone stopped me in a car park. I went, "Oh, where'd you get that repaired?" "In my garage."
Yeah, I just made it out of filler.
Listen to the sound difference. This is metal. This is not.
And see, that's early 3D printing.
Oh, you're ahead of the curve there, you see.
Oh yeah.
Am I right in saying the next one was along a similar?
The next one was, because I didn't learn my lesson, a Mark V Escort.
You had 2?
Well, this was partly because I had a lot of parts on the other one, like the wheels.
You had a donor car.
I had various other bits.
Hmm.
And I kind of wanted another car I can move those over to. So while having a look around, I found an XR3i for sale locally. It was in quite nice condition.
Wow.
It just had a dent in the driver's side and one of the side skirts was missing, but I found a new side skirt to put on it, and that was a good one. So yeah, I drove that around for a while. It was quite high mileage. It was 150,000 miles on it when I got rid of it. But
Yeah, that is.
it was actually in pretty good condition. It was a nice car. Apart from the suspension was completely shot.
Nah.
It wasn't so bad when I got it, but some more spirited driving, shall we say, around the bumpy Devon roads completely finished off those shock absorbers. And yeah, that didn't really respond very well towards the end.
It was, like you say, that was all right. It did
the engine on it was absolutely spot on. That was still pulled strongly, despite the fact it had no power. It had as much power as it should have done. It just didn't have any power.
Didn't have enough. Yes, they're getting quite sought after now. Although I'm not sure the Mark V is as much.
I think it's more a case of if you can find one that's actually one piece.
Yeah.
Not 20.
Yes. Most of them ended up on the wrong side of the hedge. Yeah.
Well, most of them now are just rusted to pieces.
Yeah. Sadly so.
You've got the issue of severe modification as well.
Oh yeah. Well, I looked through the MOT history of that one a year or so ago.
Yeah.
And after I got rid of it, it was just rust, 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 more rust, more rust.
Yeah.
So much rust, you're not going to pass this ever. And then a few months later, not a single advisory.
What?
And then the next one was all of the rust came back.
Oh, that was very generous.
MOT, it was fixed really, really well, but it's just not built to last.
Oh dear.
A very generous tester.
That's an understatement. A blind tester, perhaps.
Oh dear. Somebody writing their own certificates again.
What But I know what you replaced it with, but I can't remember why you got rid of it.
I got rid of it because it was just costing a lot of money in repairs.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Just keeping it going, I was spending quite a bit of money keeping it going, and it didn't seem to get any better. It was just literally running on a shoestring and not being able to fix any of the stuff, because at that point I wasn't doing any of my own mechanics really, just a few little bits here and there.
Yeah. And well, I can vouch for the fact that you and I were not paid a lot at the time.
Oh no.
That's
a question if we were paid at all, but yeah.
Yes, I completely understand why that went there.
Yeah, so I replaced that with something that cost more that I got a bank loan out to get, but was reliable. And that was the last. Well, that was not an Escort, obviously, because it was reliable. But continuing on the boy racer vein, it wasn't fast again. It was a 1998 VW Passat with a 1.8 non-turbo engine. And you might think that's not particularly boy racery. However, it had a bit of a body kit going on. It was very lowered, and it had 18-inch wheels on it.
Yes, it did look the part. Slammed and rimmed, yo.
Yep. It's not a style I've revisited, but it got a lot of compliments. It wasn't like these days where you've got all your stance yo and your massive camber. It was just lowered with a decent set of wheels, and the body kit, most of it was actually VW stuff anyway, so it wasn't like hideous stuff. Similar to an Audi S4 of the time.
But yeah, it was a nice looking thing actually. Whoever done it well. It was
I bought it from the guy that did it. I used to work with him at Halfords.
Okay,
Michael John.
Wow, that's very good. But yeah, it was good colour as well. Nice, that sort of light metallic blue, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the one.
Estate or saloon?
Saloon.
Oh,
the only downside of that car really was it didn't have the turbo. So being the 1.8 non-turbo.
Was it still 20 valve?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the 20 valve actually makes a really good noise because it had an induction kit on it. And to the point where I took it to the VW dealership one day to get something fixed on it. And the guy said to me, I never knew they did those with the V5 engines. Well, they did. This isn't one of them.
No, I suppose, it would have I suppose it's a similar note, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the induction noise had a good burble to it.
I love the way that you took it to the actual VW dealership.
That's
great
cool.
round here.
Oh yeah, that was before. That was kind of when I found out how bad they were.
Oh god, no! You didn't find out how bad they were until a bit later on, did you?
Oh no, that was when I had the next car.
Yeah, because you had the blue Passat for quite a while, didn't you?
Yeah, I had that for several years. It served me really well, that thing.
Yeah, it didn't really shit itself at all or anything, did it? It was
never had a big issue with it. Water ingress was the only problem I ever had with it.
Yeah, they're quite known for that, I think.
Yeah, so before I sold it, I'd already replaced it, and I just kept it around for a while. So I sorted the water ingress, and I just took all of the interior carpets out to dry them out properly. So yeah, I solved any of the little electrical problems that came from the. Sorry, my mum just turned off. That's helpful.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So I sorted out all the little electrical problems that arose from the water ingress, so corroded connections. That's the only thing that plagued it really. The driver's door pretty much completely gave up. Just nothing worked on that at one point because the main power lead that headed to that control module, corrosion got to it and it fell off. So
not so good.
No.
My father-in-law had one of those that again had water ingress, and it had obviously had water ingress for quite a long time because it eventually snapped in half.
Oh, he's let that pull up a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, it snapped in half whilst he was driving it, so that was slightly unfortunate. But
did the rear end overtake the front end?
Well,
in the usual fashion.
It wasn't entirely complete, shall we say?
Are we talking? I mean, not as drastic as Roger Moore in his Renault 11.
No, not quite as drastic as that. But I seem to recall that the rear axle was no longer attached by the time we finished with it.
That's definitely a failure.
So much.
Oh, he had a tricky maneuver coming out of a junction, and yeah, that was it. Really, it just literally collapsed in the middle of the road. So I think that had been leaking for quite a long time.
That must have been funny to watch.
I didn't get to see it, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame.
Speaking of the rear suspension of Passats, that one did give me a few little surprises before I got rid of it. I think the rear shock absorbers are just completely worn out and given up. And a few times driving around roundabouts, despite being a front-wheel drive, the back end just completely kicked out. You're just driving around a roundabout, and you're like, yeah, I'm going round the roundabout. I'm going round the roundabout. I'm applying counter steer. What's going on here? Why am I
my word.
That's probably fine.
Yeah, just accelerate out of it. It's fine. It will
Yes, perfectly normal.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I know that you had crossover with the next car.
Yeah.
But what I do recall is when you tried to sell the blue Passat, the phone calls.
Oh God, yeah. There was the one that stands out in particular was, bearing in mind living in North Devon at the time. It was tucked away in a garage, and I didn't really want to be giving anyone the exact address of where it was. So I'll tell you the rough area, and we'll meet up, and then I'll take you to the car and show you around it. Perfectly reasonable, rather than saying it's here if you want to steal it. No, you're right. So there was a chap from London who's just sounded like he was stoned off his face, and he's just kind of like, yeah, ringing about a car. Okay. Yeah, come see it about half an hour. Yeah. Where are you? In London. It's gonna take you a little bit longer than that to get here. Hour? No.
Try again.
Okay, well, I'm leaving now. All right. I'd only given him a vague postcode of North Devon. It's like, all right, cool, good luck.
Funnily enough, he didn't turn up.
No. Well, to be fair, he might have. I never told him where I lived.
He never got that far.
Yeah, he did sound brilliant. That was in the room when you took that phone call. You were just not amused.
Well, that was the final one where he said he was coming. He'd phoned me up 2 times prior and just muttered some stuff at me with some obviously no low numbers of what he was going to pay me. It's like, well, you're not going to pay me that, but all right, whatever.
Perhaps he's still going around the M25.
Yeah, he's stuck somewhere.
Yeah, just looking for a sign that says Barnstable on it.
I don't know where it is. Oh, yeah, he was a treasure, wasn't he?
Oh, he was lovely.
And that's a wonderful advert for Auto Trader right there, isn't it? You only get crap. Because ultimately,
I car on Facebook Marketplace as well. That wasn't much better.
Oh my goodness me, that's ballsy.
Yeah.
I mean, what? When you sold it in the end, wasn't it just a sheet of A4 in the window that did it?
No, I did put the sheet of A4 in the window, but it was someone off Facebook that was actually a normal human being that spoke to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
because it proper to and fro. We had a full-on conversation, and yeah, they came and bought it.
Because it lived round where I lived for a while.
Oh no, I was talking about when I sold the other car off Facebook. No, when I sold the Passat, it was a guy that chased me one day with as you said, the sheet of A4 in the window.
Oh, okay, you're right.
Yeah, there was a guy in a ropey 205. It just started chasing me around town. I'm like,
this is good.
Then he finally caught up with me. It's like, oh yeah, well, when someone's trying to flag you down with a car for sale, you should stop in future. It's like, well, I've got my girlfriend in the car and I'm being chased by a weirdo in a Peugeot. I'm all right, thanks.
You look like a bit of a dickhead.
Yeah, and then he was determined to have a look underneath it and go, is there any rust? No. At these points, those Passats at that age, rust hadn't set in yet.
No, definitely.
This age now, yeah, you're lucky if they've got front wings, but at that time,
I mean, obviously he's worried about rust if he's in a Peugeot.
Oh yeah, coming out of a
Oh,
205.
he'll know all about that. Yeah.
Yeah, looking at a Passat that's not that old at the time, going, "Oh yeah, it's just rusty, is it?" No.
No. So I know I'm asking. I know the answer, but what was next?
Well, that was when I got a company car.
Oh yeah.
Sticking to what I've done before and got the same car again, I got a Passat.
I think I've heard something about this one, haven't I?
Well, this was a 2008 Passat Estate,
Mm.
so a bit nicer than the other one, a lot more power. It's a 2-litre diesel, only the 140, but had a good bit of poke for what it was.
Was it a sport line or something like that?
It was a Sport, yeah. Well, before they did the Sport line, it was just the Sport, which then became the R line later.
Ah, that was it.
Because then they put the little R badge to say, "Yeah, look, it's an R now." No.
Yeah, still a diesel.
Yeah. Yeah, and as I discovered when I bought it, because it's a Sport, that means you cannot have cruise control. Because someone high up in VW decided that anyone with a sports car won't want cruise control. I was like, it's not a sports car, it's a fucking Estate.
And all you did in that was going up and down the motorway.
That's not all I did with that. I went on a lot of runs with piston heads on that thing.
No, this is true. Yeah, less cruise control on that.
No, definitely not for that. No, that got hooned around quite a lot. That thing.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. You can tell them anything now because you don't work for them.
It never saw the road again after I gave it back. They just abandoned it.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, very weird. As I gave it back in pretty good condition with about 50,000 miles on the clock as well.
Why did it get abandoned?
I have no idea.
That's weird.
They were awful with money because not only did we work at a previous place together, we worked at that place together as well.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but it didn't have. Well, the car itself was all right.
It didn't have any luck though.
None.
It was an accident magnet. I've never crashed a car apart from that car, which I was in 2 accidents with. Well, obviously excluding the Escort, but that was on my own. That was involving a hedge in a field of icy mud. But yeah, this was Christmas Day in 2010. Just driving back to my parents down a single-lane country road, and little transit pickup coming the other way. I see him. I hit the brakes. A lot of ice, not doing much. So I start dabbing the brakes, keep it steering. I see this guy's just stamped on the brakes, locked the wheels up, and he's just sliding in my direction. Like, oh, this isn't going to go well, is it?
No.
I'm desperately trying to clamber up the grass verge to get any kind of grip, thinking the road's got no grip. Maybe if I go up on the grass verge, it's a bit bumpier and I'll find something.
Get some traction. Yes.
Meanwhile, this transit is still sliding at me. And then eventually it just crunches into the front corner, bends my steering, knackers the headlights. Yeah. Ruined that Christmas Day. That was lovely. Especially as bent the steering so much and on ice, I couldn't get enough traction to drive forwards because they were both trying to pull in either direction.
No.
Oh, did you have to drag your dad's car out for that, didn't you?
No. There was, well, my brother was in the car who helped push it, get it going, and luckily a guy he went to school with was driving the other way at the same time after he picked up the mess. So they managed to push it, get it going, and then he had to run along and jump in the passenger seat without me stopping. Because it was only half a mile from my parents' house, so we just limped it the rest of the way and pulled it in the driveway and dumped it there.
Oh, I know the bit where you showed me where it occurred. Yeah, it was really not that far, was it?
Not at all, no.
That was ridiculous. That was.
People don't know how to drive in those conditions, though, do they? That's the trouble.
I don't know. Well, to be fair, I was probably going too fast anyway, only by like 4 or 5 miles an hour. But yeah, still too fast to be able to stop.
Yeah, it's fine. It wasn't even your insurance, so don't worry about it.
No, it wasn't my car.
Bonus.
I don't know. There's something about that bloody car.
Yeah. Well, the second time was I came around a corner, on the way to Bideford, and there was a police car on my side of the road coming at me.
Oh,
So,
helpful.
yeah, that certainly tightened the underpants. So
Oh, I
very,
imagine you were clenched in
very-
there.
Oh yeah, that was a very, very sudden emergency stop, and luckily I managed to avoid them. They get back onto their side of the road. I was like, "Whew, avoided that one. All right." Knowing there's a young guy in a Golf who's been trying to hang off the back of me, was trying to show off to all his mates that were in the car, so I had to embarrass him at one point previously, because that Passat looks like it's just an estate, but it handled so well.
Yeah.
Because that was the year where they put fully independent rear suspension as well. So it didn't have
Nice.
the old trailing arm of all the previous ones. It's like, yeah, this has actually got real suspension, so it handled well.
Mm.
So yeah, this young guy in the Golf came around the corner and he didn't quite have the same reactions and ploughed into the back of me.
Oh, no.
Oh yes, I do.
Well, at least there was a police car on scene.
Well, yeah, they had to turn around from the accident they were attending to come and deal with this one that they kindly created.
which they had caused.
Did
Yeah.
they apologise?
Oh no.
No, I didn't think they would.
Of course not. No,
I do recall after that, the car was drivable, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I drove it. Mine was the only car involved that was drivable, but yeah, I just drove it back.
But I know you were using it, but wasn't it the well that the spare wheel sits in was all cracked and knackered, and you had to drive it quite a distance, and we had to gaffer tape it up so that you didn't get gassed out with exhaust fumes.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, because the boot floor and that was all plastic and polystyrene.
Oh, so it had just shattered.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
was a good design. So in the event of an accident, it's not like the olden days where it's like, oh, my boot floor's bent. It's a write-off.
Yeah. It just sort of
buy a new
disintegrates. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, other than, I mean, that was a good look. We got having the boot open and using a roll of gaffer tape to make it work.
To rebuild the car.
It's
I
fine.
did a good job.
It worked.
Yeah.
It's not even a Mondeo.
Actually, in terms of luck in that vehicle, that is not the only time you have been parked outside my house and we have had to do something drastic to redeem the inside of that car.
No. There's been another incident involving my father. Picked him up from hospital one day. He's just got a phone call out of the blue. He never told me he was going to hospital. We just got a phone call from him one day saying, "Yeah, could you pick me up from the hospital?" Like, why are you? Never mind. Yeah.
I'll find out in a minute. Yeah.
So yeah, driving back through Torrington, think it's probably a bit quieter that way. Back to Holsworthy, quite twisty.
Yeah.
Started going through some of the very twisty sections, and he went very quiet. And then, don't know, he just didn't really say anything, and then just decided to hose down my dashboard with vomit while turning to face me.
No.
So, just to get the maximum coverage.
Yeah.
Oh, so not only did he cover the car, he covered you as well.
Yeah, he didn't open the window. He didn't even think about sticking his head out of it. He just decided to go for the full coverage, get the lot.
Oh, no. That's great to write the car off, in my opinion.
Well, it wrote me off as well because I was wearing shorts and it was going all over my leg.
Oh, that's grim.
Oh, it was. And yeah, that was, again, a good 15 miles away from home.
Oh, no. It's going to be everywhere. You're never going to get rid of that.
I say 50 miles from home, 50 miles from his home.
Oh,
I then had another 25 miles to get back to my home.
What a state.
Foam-soaked car.
It was not fresh.
No.
Oh.
Because
that's bad.
You'd had a go at cleaning it, and then
I'd done my best.
I mean, you rang me when you got home and explained what had happened, and I couldn't hold it together.
No.
I think I rung you just in sheer disbelief of what had happened. It's like, what car person do I know that would understand the horror of the situation?
It was horrific.
Oh, no.
And then you brought it here, and you're like, "I've cleaned it," and I opened the door and went, "Are you sure? Because it really smells like puke."
No, you haven't.
Just
You'll never
imagine
get
it
rid of
before.
that.
Oh,
Because
we managed to deal with it. We got it.
We got Kaylee gave us a spray bottle of vinegar and water, didn't she? And she said, just
white
hose
vinegar
it
and
down.
Just
And
do
then
everything.
we started taking the dashboard to bits and found that it was in it.
Yeah, we were just pulling
Oh.
panels out of the dash, just going, yeah, it's behind there. And it had, I don't know if you know the dashboard of that Passat, it was a 2008. Above the radio are these two little pockets that you can push and they'll like push out of the dashboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just puddles in those.
It's just going to be everywhere, isn't it?
It was. And it was like we took off the surround of the stereo, and it's like all behind. It's like, how has this happened?
How has it got in there?
Oh dear! And
Was that the ones with the electronic handbrake? So you didn't at least have the mechanism to deal with.
No, there was that.
What?
Although that handbrake did catch me out once.
Yeah,
Well,
caught me out
caught
in
me
one
out
of
in
those
a few different ways.
Yes.
Once was I stalled it coming up off a junction on quite a busy roundabout, and I'm thinking, oh, it's all right. I got enough momentum because I actually did pull away and it wasn't stopped. So I thought I'll just push the key and then start it again. And the second I released the key, it went, oh, you don't want me to be moving? Okay, I'll apply the handbrake. It just slammed on the brakes.
No.
So I'm like, all right, I'll just quickly restart it, and then got whiplash from my troubles.
Oh, it's just crap, that.
It is crap. I got caught out with one of those. I had an estate one, when I was on business in Scotland. It was a company car, and I parked it in the car park at the factory that I was working at, and I'd obviously forgotten to engage the handbrake because it didn't do it automatically.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there was a very slight slope to this car park backwards. And I came out hours later and thought, I'm sure I parked that on the other side of the car park. And at some point, it had rolled across the car park and slammed into a load of sort of wooden frames that had been built around sapling trees, the sort of things.
Oh, yeah.
And had put a huge dent in the tailgate.
Oops.
Yeah.
That's
Fortunately, it was in the middle of winter. The roads were absolutely filthy. So when I handed it back to the guy whose car it was, the boot was dirty enough that you couldn't see the dent.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
He never said anything.
I had a similar experience with mine. I just stopped to go and post a letter quickly. So I might pull over at the side of the road, quickly run over, throw it in the letterbox, jump back in the car. So put the letter in the letterbox, turned around, and the thing's rolling forwards in the direction of an Astra.
No.
I just legged it back through myself because I'd left the window open. Because I know that it likes to lock the door as well, whenever it feels like it. So I threw myself in the window, hit the button for the handbrake, and stopped it.
And it stopped. Oh,
a couple of millimeters away from the Astra.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't understand. Just giving me the dirtiest look.
That bloody car. I mean, when I drove it quite a few times, and you remember we went to we took it to Brickcar.
Yeah.
It was when you were taking the Porsche and Friendly was taking his, what was it? Fiat?
Stilo,
that was it.
It's convenient sunroof.
That was it. There's the one that deposited all of the water inside your car.
And left you a nice opening. Even if the car's locked, you can just peel it back.
Yeah, just get
yellow like a skip. So
yeah, it's fine. It suits him down to the ground. I remember I got to Brickcar and I was talking to the guys at the gate, and they said, "Oh, do a bit of paperwork." And I got out the car and just for ease and grabbed the tickets and sorted it all out and got back in the car. And I had the opposite effect because I couldn't get the fucker to move.
It wouldn't disengage.
No, because while I'd driven it quite a bit, I'd never driven it, left it running, got out and got back in. You have to put your seatbelt back on. Otherwise it won't disengage the bloody handbrake. So
It was so fussy that it wouldn't disengage when you wanted it to, and it wouldn't engage when you would expect it to.
No. Do you remember? Again, it was 2010 when it was really snowy. When we were just driving along and it just went, "Oh yeah, the entire handbrake module's failed." By the way.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
that was really handy when it's only an electric one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no option, is there?
Nope. Had to. Well, luckily it would work, but only the very basic way. Like you stopped it and you had to hit the button, and then it would engage, and you'd have to hit the
Right.
button to disengage it. None of the auto stuff functioned at all. But it's
Am I
just
right?
the
That
thing
might
that
make
you
it
really
better.
want to see when there's feet of snow everywhere. You're like, oh, that's what I want to be failing right now.
Am I right in saying that? Yes, it did have the auto feature, but when you got in the car, did you have to turn it on every time?
Yeah, the auto hold you had to turn on every time.
That was it. What a
Otherwise, it wouldn't engage itself automatically.
It was a terrible system.
Oh
Yeah.
God, so bad.
Yeah, just a lever. It works well.
Yeah.
We were recounting the other day actually. When you had your interface on Christmas Day, there was a car to tide you over.
Yes, the car that I don't always remember.
So I remembered for you.
Yeah, I bought a little 1996 Skoda Felicia 1.3 for a whopping £300.
Cracking little car.
Wow.
Oh, proud and noble thing.
Well, this is because I had my 944 at this point.
Oh, of course.
And I'd had the engine out because it had a blockage in basically where the oil goes in the air oil separator when you fill it up and it goes down to the sump. There's a little tube completely blocked. So I had the engine out to get the sump off and clear that blockage out. And I just got the engine out when I didn't have a car anymore. Like, oh God. Because the car wasn't with me when I was working on it. It was my parents' house, which is a good 25 miles from where I live. So, yeah, I'm like, I really want to work on that. So I need a car quickly. So I just looked at the cheapest car I could get, and it was a Skoda Felicia.
It did the job, didn't it?
Yeah. I had to give it a bit of a tweak because when I got it, every time you drove around a corner, the exhaust would bang against the underside of the car.
Nice.
So I had to adjust that because that was driving me absolutely insane. But other than that and the rust holes, no complaints about it. I thought it was a pretty good little car. Very basic, but good.
Rallying heritage there.
Oh, yeah. Sadly, it wasn't white with green bits. But
no, it's fine.
it was burgundy.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? It wasn't a looker.
No.
Well, you've mentioned it now.
Yeah, you have. You dropped a clanger there.
So,
well, if he's going to skip over these things,
I got me ordering out around the wrong way. So
yeah, you got excited about Skoda Felicias. That's what happened.
Yeah, well, it's playing too much Colin McRae 1, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, you thought you were in that driving school section.
You're getting told off from him. Yes,
He wasn't enthusiastic when you did well, though, was he?
No, well, he's Scottish.
Yeah.
So that's true.
Nice.
Yeah.
Whatever. I think he passed. I don't care. I wasn't watching.
Oh dear, that was a good game. But yes, 944.
Yes, that's a saga that's still going. So that was back in 2008. I got that, and yeah, just had a phone call from my mother. He just said, "Oh, do you fancy a Porsche?" Like, what? What are you on about?
Yeah, Conan.
Yeah, the woman that lives down the road from here has got this Porsche in their garage, and it's been sat there for like 8 years, just taking up space, and she wants to get rid of it. So if you want to take it, it's yours.
Did you know what it was at that point?
Not a clue.
Oh, okay.
No idea. I assumed it was going to be a 924 or something like that. It wasn't going to be a 911, was it?
No, probably not.
But I mean,
and it wasn't.
You live in hope. But no, open the door and there's this little 944 staring back at me. Like, oh, hello. It's a bit more than I was hoping for. But yeah.
Yeah.
Get on that. It had the most disgusting tinted rear lights, just completely black.
Forgot about those.
Yeah, on a blue
Oh, that's a
car,
classy
which
look.
is just a bit.
Yeah.
That's something. It had the toast rack on the back as well. That was an aftermarket one and didn't fit very well. And it's just so many bodges, so many bodges. It hadn't moved for 8 years because it was bought as a project by this woman's son, and he
Right.
was going to do it up with his dad. But his dad passed away, and then he moved away to London and just bought another Porsche that
Right. Okay.
worked.
Right,
Just
just a proper
abandoned
one.
this one.
Do you know if that one worked when it was parked?
Apparently, it worked when it was parked because the mechanic that my dad used, and whenever I'm down there, I use in Holsworthy. He actually did some work on it. He did a bit of head work to it.
Okay.
So he put new valves in it. He said that was probably around about 2000, which when it went into that garage.
Right.
But yeah, when I found it, it definitely did not work. Nothing worked on it. It didn't even move. I got in it and put my foot on the clutch. And it's like, well, that pedal's now on the floor forevermore.
Good.
Tried to move it. It's like, no, brakes are all seized on, everything. So luckily they hadn't put the handbrake on, but just the brake calipers had seized on, despite not being used.
Yeah.
So the only way I could get to move it was to jack up each corner, take the wheel off, dismantle the brake caliper, and put it back on after I'd given it a bit of a nudging,
Mm.
and then dragged it home behind my dad's Shogun.
Do you have far to go?
No, it was literally just down the road.
Okay.
It took about 5 minutes to get it back.
Oh, sorry.
Ideal.
But yeah, I mean, from there on, I suppose that's where you've learnt your mechanicking skills.
Oh yeah, that's where I really started doing my mechanic stuff, because when you've got a car like that and you don't have any money, you can't take it to a garage to get it fixed. You've just got to try and figure it out. So it did come with a Haynes manual, but the 944 they only made
you
an
need to know.
American Haynes manual.
Oh, great.
So not everything applies. The wiring diagrams are all wrong, because
Brilliant.
especially involving the engine and the ECU, because like, the O2 sensor, I don't have one.
Good.
It's like, it doesn't have any of the CAT or anything that the American ones have.
Mm.
So just a lot of that just does not apply. Some of the torque values I found out were wrong, almost in a very worrying way. So I was doing, because they've got balance shafts on those because it's a big inline 4 engine, so they've got balance shafts to try and keep them smooth, and just the covers have got 2 different bolts on them. And I was tightening up this little, like, I think it was an 8mm, a 10mm bolt.
Still quite small.
And it's just like started tightening it to the torque spec that they listed. And it's like, this is going to snap at any minute. Because at that point, I'd done a bit of mechanicking and I've snapped a few bolts in my time, so I knew what it felt like.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is going to snap at any second. And then I looked at it and it's like, all right, for the bigger bolt, why is that the lower number? Hang on a minute.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, so it mixed those 2 numbers up, and yeah, nearly came a cropper on that one.
Yeah, that could have really ruined things.
Oh yeah, well, this is already after I'd found out that the water pump, all but one of the bolts on that had stripped. So that was held on with hopes and dreams.
That's what you want. Yes.
So you got it. Well, it was early 2008, wasn't it? You got it
mid 2008, yeah. Summer I got it.
Okay, so and that took, in terms of fettling and sorting it out and new bits and learning stuff, how long did it take before you could chuck a bit of tax and MOT on it and go for it?
I got it on the road in 2010.
Okay, that's not bad going, is it?
That's not bad. No.
Yeah, it was all right. It probably shouldn't have been on the road.
Well, someone passed it. It's all right.
Well, old car, you've got a much more basic MOT test, which is good.
Because I remember I remember the first time you got it started. That was I think sort of mid 2009.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And yeah, you gave me a phone call because you, as I recall, you thought it was a dead fuel pump, but it actually wasn't.
No, it was a dead fuel gauge, and it had run out of fuel.
That was it. Yeah.
Okay.
You were,
So it had been working, and then all of a sudden, it decided I'm not going to work anymore. So it just went, I'm actually completely dry on fuel. That's why I don't run very well.
Yeah. Your fuel gauge is still not brilliant.
Oh no, I've put a new sender in it. Well, second-hand sender. I need to. Now I've actually got a bit more money. I'm going to buy an actual one rather than just go.
Yeah, buy a proper one.
What can I find?
Yes, because when I had it, you said to me, "Sort of, nah, if it's down the low end, you've got no idea, so put some in."
Yeah, because well, at the moment it's basically reading empty. But I took it for an MOT a few years ago, and it's reading empty, and the nearest fuel station was not close by. And I made it there, and as I arrived at the fuel station, it just pinged up and went, "You got a quarter of a tank, actually." Like, oh, okay, thanks.
Best not chance it. You're all right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sometimes you can hit the dash
few.
and get a different reading. That's nice.
Good. But
That's what you want. Yes.
But it's a nice thing. I've got a lot of time for that.
It's getting there. The next thing is suspension, because, well, as you know, I've done the suspension once. I put coilovers on it just to think that's everything done, because my main aim is to get this on track and make it a track car eventually, road and track.
Yeah.
So I put the coilovers on it, and it's just been issues ever since, because I can't get the geometry sorted. Because on these coilovers, it's just missing a little lump on the front uprights. So the camber kind of washers that are attached to the bolts on the front, they've got nothing to push against. So you take it to a garage and say, "Can you just sort out the alignment on it?" And they look at it and go, "No, no, we can't." So I'm now in the process of refurbishing the original struts, which are rebuildable. Because on the early ones, you can just undo a nut at the top and take the insert out. So I'm going to get adjustable Coney inserts in those, put the original springs back on it, and run those instead.
Seems like a solid plan.
That does sound like a good idea, yeah.
To be fair, on the coilovers, I'm actually running at pretty much the same height it was at before. So
yeah, it's hardly worth it, is it?
No, and it wasn't high before.
No, I mean, and the coilovers you're taking off, and what are you doing? Just flogging?
Just
keeping
them on.
Yeah.
No.
No, that's fair enough. And one thing that I did note when I had it is I think one thing that I was not expecting was the lack of power steering.
Oh yeah, that one will catch you out.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I after a bit of googling, I realised it seems to be one of few that doesn't have it.
No, it is quite a rare spec, that thing, because it's not got a sunroof like most of them did. Did have air conditioning, but when I got it, most of it was missing, so I just took the rest of it out.
Yeah,
unneeded weight, get rid of that, and no power steering, which is currently causing me no end of issues because one of the inner tie rods is shot at the moment, and I cannot get a replacement. The only place you can get them from is Porsche, so I've ordered one from Porsche. Well, if it had power steering, it'd use a part from a VW Golf for 30 quid.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have power steering, I need to get the part from Porsche, and it's 150 quid.
That's a bit different, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
It's currently on back order because, as I heard last week, they are trying to sort out a new supplier for them. So, yeah, they have none.
There are none to be had. Oh dear.
Luckily, it's not bad enough to fail an MOT yet, but as you're driving along on a straight road, it is very annoying.
Yeah.
Because you just hear this, you can feel all the way through the steering wheel because no power steering, the feel is definitely there.
Yeah.
You've just got the left wheel just banging against this little ball joint that's got a bit of wear on it.
Oh dear.
What-
So it's not that it's
second-
missing the power steering. It never had it.
No, it never had it.
No. Okay.
And
The second you load up the steering, you start steering, not a problem, because that little bit of slack has got some pressure on it and it goes away. But once you're
Right.
driving straight on a slightly bumpy road, it just
Yeah.
drives you insane.
but when you're at speed and go and using it, the steering is lovely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's got really good feel.
But the shock to the system of going, right, I'll just get this off the driveway. Oh God! Oh yeah, was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, since I put the coilovers on, the steering got a lot better.
Right.
Because on the old, completely ruined shock absorbers, it was so heavy. You'd go into a fast corner, and you felt like you had a workout afterwards because your arms are just ready to fall off.
Mm. Heat
And
pit steering.
I'd done an engine change on it, so taking the engine out and finally got the engine back in, and then I drove it, and my arms were so tired from doing that I went round the corner and I was in physical pain going around this corner. No, this is not good. But since putting the coilovers on and it has actual damping, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near as bad as it used to be.
We should mention you went back to your original trait of I've got one of those, so I'll get another one.
Yep. That was for a different reason. That was supposed to be a parts car. I got offered a 944S with a broken engine for 300 quid. So I thought, yeah, we'll get that. And I was told, rust-free car, had the sills done recently. So bought it, sight unseen, 300 quid. Figured you can't go too wrong with that. Actually, we've missed out a car.
Have we?
We have.
We have.
A little Toyota.
Yes, I think I always forget where that fits in chronologically.
Yeah, that was before the 944S, but we'll carry on with that.
We'll come back to that.
Come back to that. Yeah.
So that was bought as a parts car. As I said, rust. No, none of that. Turned up, sight unseen on a trailer, and had a good look around it. Looked at one of the sills, the back end of it, and went, "That looks a bit like a rust bubble." So I got a screwdriver and gave it a tap, and the screwdriver just went straight through. Okay, that's got some rust on it. And the further I looked at that is just the sills are shot on it.
That is something they are prone to on those.
That's where they rust, the sills. That's where my current one is needing some attention. It's all right for now, but it's going to need attention soon. But yeah, this other one completely shot, and also with a dead engine. But I thought it's all right. It's a parts car.
Yep. Still only paid 300 quid. So yeah.
Yeah, and then I realised my other one is a 1983. This one was a 1988, and they share almost nothing in common.
Oh, no.
All of the interior is different. All of the electrics are different. All of the suspension is different.
Managed to buy a completely different car.
Some of the body parts are interchangeable, but not many.
It was,
but they're all rusty.
Yeah.
I'd tell you what though, it was a proper 80s color combo, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, pinstripe burgundy.
Yeah,
and the whole interior dash everything was burgundy.
It was bold. And a white exterior. It was cool.
Oh, perfect! Of course, perfect.
Oh yeah,
really, yeah. It was quite a thing to look at, wasn't it?
Yeah, I quite liked it myself. I had a lot of time for that styling. And it was very comfortable inside as well. All the electrics worked on it, which was novel from coming into my one and getting into that and going, oh, so this broken one. Wow.
But yes.
But yeah, the conrod had escaped out of the engine. That's why it was cheap.
Oh, that'll do it. Yeah.
Do you want to tell the nice people why that happened?
Well, yeah, I decided when I had to give the Passat back, I was like, okay, I'm going to need a car. And I looked at this white 944 sat there. I thought, that's a car. Why don't I get an engine for that? Get the rust repaired, and that can be my daily driver. So, step one, get the old engine out, pull it apart, see if there's anything salvageable, and figure out what killed it. So yank this engine out of this car, get it on the engine stand. Step one, I pull the sump off because it's in pieces anyway. So I pull the sump off, and then sat on top of the oil strainer is the remnants of a latex glove. So whoever bought the engine last time had dropped a glove in there, and the oil pickup had just sucked this latex glove
Sucked it through.
and just it had no oil pressure because this latex glove just blocked it.
Yeah,
And
that'll do it.
the second
Yeah.
cylinder spun a bearing and then ejected the entire conrod. So yeah, I think that's why they were so desperate to get rid of it, because I think it was that guy that spent a lot of money getting the engine completely rebuilt, which seemed to have been done quite well because it's very clean inside,
Yeah.
just in many pieces.
Yes, because there was a rubber glove stuck in it.
It was just this little rubber glove. I was like, oh dear, that's not good. So yeah, I've been very careful about using latex gloves around engine rebuilds.
Count them all again afterwards to make sure there's none missing.
I just don't use them. I'd rather wash my hands.
Yeah.
Well,
fair enough. Yeah.
it's it. You, like in some of the older Mr. China videos on wheeler dealers and such. Like you look at some of his gloves and go, "There's no point in wearing those, mate. They've
No.
gone." Where's
Every
the rest?
time I have worn latex gloves, I will do like two things, and then I'll have a finger that's come through. I was like, why am I wearing these things?
Yeah. Well, his later ones aren't latex. He explained that at one point.
Mm.
They're a different. Are they neoprene or something like that? I think they're not latex anymore.
Yeah, they don't disintegrate, do they?
No, and of course he now has his own brand, so he's very interested in wearing them as often as possible.
And referring to said gloves, aren't they
Yes.
wonderful?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm now just accustomed to not wearing gloves. At all.
Not wearing gloves at all. Yes.
It doesn't bother me. I'll just wash my hands well afterwards. It's fine.
Well, just don't lose a finger down there. I think it's
No.
probably
Well,
better.
if you lose your whole hand down there, you'll probably notice.
Mm.
You
I
probably would notice, and that would bung it up.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
You
I
wanna be
suppose,
careful about that.
yeah, I mean, now you're just accustomed to Swarfiga. Happy days.
Oh yeah.
You love a whiff of that, don't you?
Oh, it's my happy smell.
Spreading it on your toast and everything.
Gritty.
Oh yeah. If you come round, I don't have normal like bath soap. It's just like a tub of Swarfiga next to the bath.
Swarfiga.
Oh,
Swarfiga power.
don't even joke. That is what happens in my uncle's bathroom. He doesn't have a soap dispenser. He just has Swarfiga.
Wow.
Oh, no shower gel either, I should imagine.
Oh, dearie me, ruined bollocks.
Oh, let's not go there. Family friendly.
Do they do Swarfiga hair?
Oh,
For long.
gritty hair. Not good.
Ugh.
Oh, that's the citrus one, I think, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Well,
top tip. There you go.
got to smell fresh, haven't you?
Oh yeah. Ladies love it.
No,
Hot for the
What's
citrus.
that fine aroma you're wearing? Oh, that's Swarfiga citrus.
Swarfiga.
Well, as long as it's not Tommy Hilfiger.
Ugh.
Oh dear. So, what became of the white one?
It failed an MOT because the rust.
Funny that.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the whole story of why the rust was not repaired when I sent it off to be repaired. That's too long of a story,
Oh
and
dear.
it involved too much swearing, so we'll just leave that.
Mm.
But yeah, it failed the MOT because the seals just had rust in them again, and it was quite frankly a piss poor repair. It had a look through because there were little inspection holes that you could look in, and there was just parts of the inner structure that weren't there. So,
Oh dear.
An issue, isn't it?
so I sold it on for cheap on the basis of it was rusty, and I sold it to the garage that did the work originally, who still have it, and they use it as a kind of a development car.
Okay.
Oh, fair enough.
Use it to like try new parts and stuff out on.
Is it road legal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy was using it as a daily driver because he did the seals properly. There was whole other issues business-wise that caused that, but he's resolved that. And so he did the seals properly, painted it properly, and yeah, he's still using it to this day.
Okay. Well, that's good to
Presumably
know.
it's got a new engine in it now.
Well, no, there were other stories of the engine dying because I replaced the
Okay.
engine once, and that one died as well.
Oh no.
So it's currently running a hybrid of 16 valve and 8 valve engines pieces. So I believe the block is an 8 valve. Pistons obviously 16 valve, so they've got to work with the head and everything. 16 valve, 2.5, maybe some of the 3-litre 16 valve bits. Because the
Okay.
S was
Okay.
2.5 litre 16 valve, and the S2 was the 3-litre 16 valve.
Are we right in saying that the S2 is it still the largest capacity 4-cylinder?
I think it
Production car?
was. I don't know if Mitsubishi took that back again. Because the
Okay.
Shoguns, it was constantly between them and the Shogun and the Challenger.
Mm.
Because the Challenger that my dad had was a 2.8, which is the engine that took it away from the 944 originally when it was a 2.5 and a 2.7.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mitsubishi went, we made a 2.8. Whey! All right.
It's an odd contest, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was using balance shafts as well, which is a patented Mitsubishi technology. So to use them, you have to pay Mitsubishi.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So that's why Mitsubishi are the only ones building big inline fours, because they make the balance shafts.
Yeah, they don't. They're not paying any patent fees on that, are they?
No.
So, yeah, well, there's. I didn't know that. That's a nice bit of
Well, there
knowledge.
you go. That's your boring fact of the day.
Happy with that.
Oh,
I'll
very
log that
good.
for future reference.
Make a note.
Keep it
We
in there.
like stuff like that.
You
Yeah,
bring
it's
that
good.
one out at a dinner party. Watch the room go quiet.
Oh, I don't think we won't.
Well, it just highlights the fact that we shouldn't really be there in the first place. Too boring.
No.
Not us. Them.
That's how you
Them,
get
yeah.
it. I've got plenty more I could tell you if you insist on me staying.
No, go. Yes, fine.
Hey!
So, can I take a bottle of wine? Take what you want.
Yeah, if you're leaving, whatever.
Yeah, do what you like.
Will it make you go faster? Oh, yes.
Yeah. Let's leave it there for part 1. Join us again next week for the concluding part of Rob's Car Tales and Home Mechanics. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram, or get in touch via info@stuffandwaffle.co.uk. Thanks to Rob for joining us, and thanks to you for listening.